Hey there, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into one of biology's most amazing ideas, tissues. These are the super organized teams of cells that work together to build every complex living thing you can imagine, from a tiny plant all the way up to, well, you. So let's get into it and see how they pull it off.
All right, let's start with a fun one. What could a giant, centuries-old redwood tree and you possibly have in common? Seriously, one is, stuck in the ground and makes its own food from sunlight, and the other is you. The answer isn't just that you're both alive. No, it's something much cooler. It's the basic strategy that nature uses to build anything complex at all.
And that strategy is tissues. This is the big idea for today. A tissue isn't just some random clump of cells. Think of it more like a highly coordinated team where cells that are built alike work together to do one very specific job. It's like they're all specialized departments inside the company of a living organism.
So to really get a handle on this, we're going to break it down into 3 parts. We'll kick things off with the plant playbook to see how they build themselves up. Then we'll switch gears and look at the animal arsenal. And finally, we'll meet the master communicators that, you guessed it, run the whole show.
Okay, so first up, the plant playbook. You gotta remember, plants have a pretty unique problem to solve. They can't move. They're stuck in one spot. So their tissues had to become absolute masters of growth and building these incredibly strong, rigid structures right from the ground up.
And they do it with this really clever 2-part strategy. First, they've got tissues that are just for one thing, growth. Their whole job is to keep making new cells. Then they have all the other tissues that actually provide the structure and do the work. We're going to start with those growth teams. They're called meristematic tissues, and see exactly how they work.
See, the key thing to understand is that plants are smart about how they grow. They don't just expand everywhere all at once. Nope. They have these specific growth zones called meristems, and they're put in very strategic places to control exactly how the plant gets bigger.
And here's how that playbook works. You've got the apical meristem right at the very tips of the stems and roots. That's what makes a plant get taller and its roots dig deeper. Then there's the lateral meristem on the sides, which is how a tree trunk gets wider and wider every year. And finally, the intercalary meristem helps leaves and stems grow out. It's actually the reason grass can grow back so fast after you mow it.
Okay, so the meristems are busy making all these brand new cells. Great. But now what? How does the plant actually turn all those new cells into functional parts like leaves, stems, and strong roots? How does it build out its internal systems?
Well, it does it by creating what we call permanent tissues. You can think of these as cells that have basically graduated from the growth phase. They take on a very specific, specialized job. Maybe it's storing food, maybe it's providing support, and when they do that, they lose their ability to divide anymore. They become the dedicated professional workforce of the plant.
Among these, you have the simple specialists. First, there's parenchyma, which is basically the plant's pantry. It stores food. Then you have parenchyma, which gives plants flexibility, kind of like the cartilage in our ears, letting stems bend in the wind without just snapping in half. And sclerenchyma, well, that's just pure armor. These are dead, super hardened cells that make things like coconut husks incredibly tough. And then you've got the plant's internal plumbing system. This is so cool. The xylem is like a one-way pipeline made of dead cells that just pulls water and minerals up from the roots to the rest of the plant. And the phloem is the two-way food delivery service. It takes the sugars made in the leaves and sends them wherever they're needed, up or down. So one pipe brings water up, the other sends food out.
All right, let's switch kingdoms. Animals, on the other hand, evolved under totally different rules. They needed to move, to hunt, to escape, to react, and all of that led to a completely different set of tools, a whole new arsenal of tissues built for protection, movement, and connection.
First up in that arsenal is the body's shield, epithelial tissue. This is your skin. It's the lining of your mouth, your stomach, all of your internal organs. It's literally the barrier that separates everything inside of you from the outside world. It's our first line of defense.
Next up, we have the engine, muscular tissue. This stuff is responsible for every single movement you make, from running a marathon to just blinking your eyes. It's made of these amazing cells that are packed with special proteins that can physically contract and then relax, all on command, creating force and making things move.
So, we've got a shield and we've got an engine. But what connects it all? What's holding it all together and giving us our shape? What's the underlying framework and the internal transport system?
Well, that's the job of connective tissue. And man, is it diverse. It's like the body's scaffolding, glue, and delivery service all rolled into one. I mean, blood is a liquid tissue that carries oxygen and nutrients everywhere. Bone is a super hard tissue that creates our entire skeleton. Cartilage gives us flexible support in our joints and nose. And adipose tissue, well, that's fat, and it stores energy and keeps us warm.
Now, two types of connective tissue get mixed up all the time: tendons and ligaments. So here's a super easy way to remember the difference. Tendons connect your muscles to your bones, which is what lets you move. Ligaments connect your bones to other bones, which holds your joints together and keeps them stable. So muscle to bone to bone. Simple as that.
So we have structure, we have movement, but how is any of this coordinated? How does your bicep know when to contract? That brings us to our final and maybe most amazing section, the master communicators. This is the tissue that controls everything else. It's the body's very own information superhighway.
The star player of nervous tissue is this cell right here, the neuron. And just look at its design. It is perfectly built for its job. It's got that central body, and then these incredibly long extensions designed to send and receive signals at lightning speeds all across your body.
And that's exactly what nervous tissue does. It's super specialized to react to a stimulus, like a touch or a sound or even just a thought. And then zap, it transmits that signal as a tiny electrical impulse from one spot to another. It is the body's command and control network, no question.
And get this for scale, because this is just wild. A single neuron can be up to 1 meter long. I'm not kidding. That nerve that runs all the way from your lower spine down to your big toe, yeah, that's one single cell. That's just an incredible feat of biological engineering, and it's the ultimate example of a cell becoming extremely specialized for its job.
So from the simple support tissues holding up a plant to the complex, lightning-fast networks inside of us, it is so clear that life is a team sport played at the cellular level. This whole intricate network of tissues is what allows us to think, to feel, to move, and to live. And it leaves you with a final thought, right? When even one small part of that team breaks down, a tendon tears or a nerve fails, it's a powerful reminder of just how much we depend on every single one of these specialized teams. Makes you wonder, what other tiny breakdowns could have huge consequences for the whole organism?